We have the review of the Hygger HG2100S. So this is a very affordable power head. It has two individual power heads. One is at 1,050 gallons per hour. So combined, it's right at 2,100 gallons per hour. When I initially started this tank, I was looking to use the most affordable products that I could. This was something I ran into thinking dual power head, wider reach. So I went ahead and purchased it. It was $29 on Amazon. So I went ahead and picked up two of them since I am running the Red Sea 625 XL reefer, which is right at 4 feet 9 inches long, 24 inches wide, and about 20 inches tall from the substrate to the top of the water level. I figured out that I needed roughly about 4,500 gallons per hour. So I assumed if these things are rated at 2,000 a piece, with any loss of performance that I may see in case if the gallons per hour were for saltwater or freshwater, I wasn't certain since that data wasn't available. I assumed if anything, the rating would have been based off of freshwater, saltwater having a different specific gravity. I would have some friction losses. So I assumed I'd be anywhere between 1,900 to 2,000 gallons per hour per power head assembly. They worked out. Wanted to experiment, so I ran them both on all the time. Did great. I was able to get the power heads adjusted where I was able to keep any of the detritus from just sitting at the substrate. Maintained it well once I got it set up to the area that I wanted. As the tank matured, I ended up changing the locations a bit just to be able to satisfy, since I had introduced two anemones into the tank. So as picky as they are, I tried to adjust the flows, at least a flow direction, in order not to be able to blast them all the time, because boy, do these things blast those things. As the tank matured, I also wanted to play around with it in cycling it in order to get some natural wave motions. So I got really ambitious. I started off where each pump would run for about 5 minutes and then cycle between one to the other one. I was able to do that with a smart home app and a couple of smart plugs. If any of you want to know a little bit more about that, they're inexpensive plugs. You can probably get them about 10 bucks each. You have a couple of them and you can set schedules and all that other stuff. And I was able to make a small program in Smart Home where I would time the 5 minutes from start to stop, and it would rotate between the two with a little lapse at about 15 seconds where they were both on and cycling. So once again, if you have any questions about that, let me know in the comments and I'll go ahead and probably make a video about that. One of the things that I noticed was these things were quiet right out the box. They were quiet when they ran. They were quiet once they started. Like any 110 volt or any AC pump, there's always going to be that initial startup, right? So it needs to get up to its RPMs and the torque that it needs. So it's a lot of stress on the motor. So it started up and it made a little bit of noise. A fraction of a second is all you heard it, and it went away and it got quiet. I think that I put this pump through some torture when I started cycling them. The on cycle is probably the most stress that any electric motor sees. So through the time of it cycling on and off, it seemed to have worn it down a bit, and it would make this horrendous noise where it's a deep humming, and usually turning it on and off a couple times it'll stop doing it. So once I noticed that it was doing that in my on-off cycle for wave simulations, I just kept them at 100% on all the time. Positioned them again where it wasn't straight blasting on any of the coral, substrate, or any of the rocks. So, and they were great, right? Reliable, never had a problem. It ran great. The only reason I pulled this one out was a user error on my behalf, and I'll get into that towards the end of the video. So I've had these things for about 12 months now, or just a little over 12 months. As you can see, there's a bunch of coralline that's built on it. Initially I would pull them out and I would keep this area clean, but I just wanted some more of that coralline to cover it, just not make it look like it was standing out as much. So coralline was doing its thing, and obviously as the tank matured, I saw more and more coralline. So powerful as day one. As the first day I plugged it in, this thing is just it's a great deal for $29. If you have a lot of coverage that you need, whether you're doing it at 20 cycles per hour or up to a 40 cycles per hour, and when I mean cycles per hour, it's if you have 130 gallons or 136, you figure you times that by 20, 30, or 40, and you can be anywhere in that range for mixed reef tanks. So it did its thing. It really did. Put them in, did great. Noise level, talked about it, super quiet, didn't hear it, only on start, and I think that was more my fault than Hygger's fault. So I'm not gonna ding it for that, because it definitely wasn't something that it was doing in the beginning. And I think that if I would have let it run and stay on all the time, I wouldn't have stressed the motors out the way that I did. Magnets. Man, the magnetic hold on this thing is ridiculous. It actually comes with a slot where you can put 2 suction cups, and you can use it that way if you wanted to press it up against your glass and leave it there. Or you can use it with the suction cups. It'll hold it on the glass, and then you apply the magnet on the other side, where it will hold it. I elected to not use the magnets, the suction cups, just because when I was cleaning my glass, it was hard for me to move it around. So it just made it much easier for my maintenances to run it without these suction cups, and it did great. As far as magnet strength, if I'll put it together, and you'll see that it takes some strength. I can't pull it apart. In order to pull it apart, you have to give it some. It just caught my finger. This thing's serious. Like, Hygger did not cheap out on these magnets. So as far as my glass, it's 19 mil. So it's 19 millimeters. Did great. Wouldn't move. If I moved this thing was following wherever I would move the outside magnet. So definitely no complaints. Once again, for 29 bucks, I really can't see anything wrong with that. So positioning it in the tank with the magnets, the versatility that Hygger put into this, you can position this power head in any way that you want, right? So you have multiple positions that you can put this. It seems like it may be wired in parallel, so it's giving equal voltages to both of the pumps. Main power cord comes in here and then comes out and feeds this bottom one. So looking at the pump itself, right, you can put them sideways. Right, where you're kind of whichever angle you want to do. Then it sits on this ball. That ball allows for you to move it in any which direction you need. And as you move these things around and you spin it, you're able to get, I mean, if you figure this is the glass, right? That's the angle that you're able to achieve on that in any direction. So real nice in being able to direct the flow where you want it, where you need it. Run different tests, right? In the beginning of every setup, you want to see how your tank reacts and how you're moving the water across the tank in order for you to prevent any dead spots, especially close to your rocks. Close to the glass is another spot where you definitely want to try to direct flow there so you don't have anything just building up down there. Maintenance wise, it's very simple, right? You spin the end of the pump cover, slides right off. The rotor is a small magnet. The bearings that they're trying to use is these rubber grommets, which is very common in entry-level pumps. I think it works great. The impeller is a 2-blade impeller. It's plastic. This was my error. As I was cleaning it, I dropped it from I would say about 4 feet, and it landed on the floor. In slow motion, I was able to see it fall and land on the very tip of the blade, and it snapped off, right? That just happened last week, so it's a shame. I'm not going to ding Hygger for that as well, because it was a user error thing. I take full responsibility for it, because the other impeller is still in perfect shape, and I didn't drop that one. So the stator is covered all in plastic, so there is no, I don't see any way for there to be any voltage or amperage leakage into the water. It's sealed very well. It's molded plastic. The only weak point I would say is potentially where it seals the back of the electrical connections. But if you look in there, there's either an epoxy or a real thick glue that they put in that looks like it covers about 1/4 of an inch. So I would check to see if there was any voltage leakage periodically in my tank, and I also run a grounding rod just in case, since I was running this inside the tanks along with my heater and they're both 110 volts. I didn't want any leakage to affect the corals or any of the fish and electrify them. So to clean it, take the cover off, take this thing off. I take this to the bathroom, clean it off. It does get a bunch of gunk, whether it's nori or algae or any of the flake foods. It'll get sucked in here and it'll build up. Rinse it off, pop it back in. Every once in a while I would take this thing out and then just clean out the inside so there wasn't anything covering the stator or the rotor, to make sure that I had good rotation, right? So there wasn't additional friction, so I wouldn't lose any performance on the pump. So that's the one that fell. This is the other one. As you can see, it's in great shape. It's been through a lot. This tank is actually cycled twice. Once when I originally put it in, had a bunch of bubble hair algae, and that bubble hair algae was as it was falling off or as it was being picked off by the fish, it would get caught in this thing, and it would get pretty bad, and man, it just kept chugging, things like a Timex. So I really must say that when I had it pointing in the directions that I needed it, you would see the fish kind of swim in front of it. They enjoyed the current that they would get from it. the water would flow all around. I'm going to insert a video here that I took this morning of the one that's still in there. And you could just see with my return pump turned off, everything turned off in the tank. I do a view of the entire tank, and then I turn this thing on, and you're able to see that just with one at 2100 gallons per hour, I'm able to cycle the water through, right? So I ran 2 of these at 4,000 combined, plus another 1,000 that I'm getting out of my return pump. So you'll see that in that video, which I'm going to insert here now. All right, so what I love about it, the spread, right? Now keep in mind, $29. This is definitely an entry-level power head. $29 gave me a great spread, gave me great adjustability, gave me reliability. In 12 months, I've never had a problem with it. The only problem I encountered is user error, and it was me dropping that propeller. For a couple bucks, I can probably order a replacement, which I may, just to keep these things in stock, in case if I want to, or I need to temporarily use it if my new power heads end up failing at any point. I have something to fall back on, or I could even use it on another tank if I build it. Hygger went ahead and stepped it up, and they actually built one of these at 4,000, and I probably could have gone with the 4,000 style, which is 2 of them at it's 2 of them at 2,100 gallons per hour, so it comes right at about 4,200 gallons per hour. That's at $39.99, but I wanted multiple power heads to be able to get momentum, get flow from different directions, so that's why I went with it. I love the durability. Haven't had a problem with it. When you're in the hobby, you have to evaluate what it is that you want. If you're going to buy something budget, you want something that you can at least rely on. There wasn't very many reviews on this thing at the time. There was 2 of them, I think, that there was videos on, and they had them on some freshwater tanks, and they spoke highly of it. So I went ahead and gambled it, and I'm glad I did. So definitely something that I would buy again if I was setting up another budget tank. What I don't like about it, there isn't much. Would I buy the thing again? Absolutely. But now that I'm trying out a DC power head from Hygger as well, I just installed it in my tank last night, so I'm not going to talk much about it. I don't have much to say as of yet, but I would buy it again at the price point, to be honest. I have no problem with it. So thank you all for watching the video. Leave any comments or questions down below, and I'll see you guys next time.